A barrage of black beams shot out like a torrential downpour, engulfing the area within 100 meters around Su Yun. As they streaked through the air, faint black marks seemed to appear even in the empty void left in their wake. Su Yun, staring at this incoming attack, couldn't hide the gravity that crept across his pale face. Earlier, he might have underestimated Lin Dong, but the sudden appearance of the devouring ancestral talisman forced him to reassess. He now knew that despite the gap in their strength, the power of one of the world's divine treasures could easily bridge that difference. His gaze turned cold. With a shift in his hand seal, a storm-like surge of spiritual energy erupted, quickly forming a massive spiritual storm spanning 100 meters around him. Spiritual energy wasn't as violent as primordial energy, but beneath its calm surface lay a deadly power capable of shattering souls. While injuries caused by primordial energy might be physical, spiritual energy could damage the mind itself, leaving devastating consequences. The spiritual storm swirled around Su Yun, distorting the space within it. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At that moment, the black beams hurtled through the sky, colliding with the storm. However, as they pierced through the swirling spiritual energy, the force of the storm shredded them into fragments. The devouring ancestral talisman is indeed powerful, Su Yun sneered, his expression icy. But in your hands, it's nothing but a waste. Lin Dong, however, merely smiled in response, his expression carrying a trace of something sinister. Do you think the power of devouring is so easily shattered? Su Yun's heart skipped a beat at those words. His pupils constricted as he suddenly noticed that deep within his spiritual storm, threads of black light had already appeared. These threads, like a swarm of locusts, were devouring his spiritual energy. Damn it! Su Yun's cold expression finally faltered. He hurriedly pushed his spiritual energy outward, trying to expel the black light. Yet, no matter how hard he tried, the black energy clung to his spiritual power like a parasite, impossible to shake off. So, this is the power of the devouring ancestral talisman. Sweat began to bead on Su Yun's forehead as he felt his spiritual energy rapidly depleting. Panic surged within him. Lin Dong hadn't directly fought him, but this devouring power acted like a parasite, feeding on his energy. As time passed, the black specks multiplied within the storm, spreading like an infection. Damn it! Su Yun's face darkened. Without hesitation, he gritted his teeth and severed the connection between his spiritual energy and the storm. His body swiftly retreated, attempting to escape from the contaminated spiritual energy. Think you can leave now? You're too late. Lin Dong's voice echoed softly. At that moment, black light flickered in his eyes, giving him an eerie look. Devouring seal. His calm words were followed by a sudden freeze in his hand seals. Swish. A black beam of light shot out from the devouring ancestral talisman hovering above Lin Dong, striking the massive spiritual storm in the distance. Buzz. The storm, which had been spinning furiously, came to a halt. The black specks within it surged and rapidly intertwined, forming an enormous black seal that completely enveloped the spiritual storm. In the instant the seal formed, the entire storm transformed into a prison of devouring power. Bang! A spear of spiritual energy nearly 100 meters long formed in Su Yun's hands, and he hurled it fiercely at the black seal. But upon contact, the spear shattered, its spiritual energy consumed by the devouring power. Bind. Lin Dong's eyes coldly watched the panic begin to spread across Su Yun's face. With another shift of his hand seals, countless black beams shot out from the surrounding area, swiftly transforming into chains. These chains, glowing ominously, shot towards Su Yun with terrifying speed. Su Yun's face twisted in fear. He frantically formed spiritual barriers around him to block the incoming chains. Puff, puff. But his efforts were futile. The chains, infused with devouring power, tore through the barriers like they were paper. Before he could react, dozens of chains pierced through his body. A dull, piercing sound echoed through the sky. In front of the devouring ancestral talisman, using spiritual energy is true foolishness, Lin Dong remarked coldly, staring at the bound Su Yun. The devouring Ancestral Talisman's power was a perfect counter to pure energy forms like spiritual energy. For Lin Dong, defeating an immortal talisman master was far easier than battling someone at the minor completion of the life mystique stage. Su Yun struggled frantically, but the intense pain from within his body rendered him completely immobile. No blood flowed from where the chains pierced through him because he could feel his entire being slowly being corroded by the power of devouring creeping into his body, consuming him bit by bit. As this force gnawed at him, his consciousness started to blur. Lin Dong, my master is an elder of evil wind cave heaven. If you dare touch me, your fate will be beyond miserable. Su Yun gathered his remaining strength, glaring viciously at Lin Dong as he shouted, "Evil wind cave heaven?" Lin Dong raised an eyebrow. Although he had suspected this man had some background, he hadn't expected him to be from one of the two most powerful factions in the Celestial Windsea region. That's right, Lin Dong. You're a smart man. You must realize how disastrous it would be to offend evil wind cave heaven. But if you hand over the devouring Ancestral Talisman to us, I guarantee you will be greatly rewarded. Evil wind cave heaven will never mistreat you. Su Yun quickly added when he saw Lin Dong pause. Lin Dong rubbed his chin, contemplating for a moment under Su Yun's anxious gaze. Then, he grinned, flashing his sharp, white teeth. Seeing this, Su Yun's heart sank. Sorry, I'm not interested in giving up the devouring Ancestral Talisman, and I'm certainly not letting you go. As his words fell, Lin Dong's eyes turned cold, and with a swift motion, the numerous chains that had pierced through Su Yun's body exploded. Black light spread out, forming a vortex that swallowed Su Yun entirely as terror filled his eyes. Snap! After fully devouring Su Yun, Lin Dong calmly clapped his hands, then slowly turned his gaze toward the three-headed demonic flood dragon, which was still bound in the heaven-scorching formation. The beast, usually fierce and ruthless, now watched Lin Dong with a mixture of tension and fear. Su Yun's ruthless execution had shown the beast just how dangerous Lin Dong could be. Damn it, if I had known this kid was so ruthless, I wouldn't have intervened, the three-headed demonic flood dragon thought bitterly, regretting his decision. Now, it's your turn. Lin Dong looked at the demonic flood dragon, smiling. That smile sent a chill down the beast's spine, despite his own vicious nature. A massive, crimson formation enveloped the land, trapping the three-headed demonic flood dragon firmly inside. This once ferocious demonic beast now wore an uneasy expression as he stared at Lin Dong, who hovered above, watching him with a calm but menacing look. Hey, my friend, we don't have much of a grudge between us. How about we settle this peacefully? I'll even give up the vital, profound spirit fruit, the three-headed demonic flood dragon said with a forced grin, his face twitching. You saw the devouring Ancestral Talisman, didn't you? Lin Dong's smile remained. The beast's pupils contracted, and his expression grew unnatural. He had seen all too clearly how Lin Dong had effortlessly dealt with Su Yun. The strength of that immortal talisman master, even at the minor completion stage, was immense. Defeating him would have been a challenge even for the beast, yet Lin Dong had vanquished him with alarming ease. While much of it was due to the power of the devouring Ancestral Talisman, Lin Dong's ruthless methods had sent a shiver down the demonic flood dragon's spine. What do you want? The demonic flood dragon gritted his teeth and asked. I don't intend to reveal that I possess the devouring Ancestral Talisman. So, those who know about it. I can't let them live. Lin Dong's voice was calm, but the cold glint in his eyes made the demonic flood dragon's heart sink. You! The beast's face twisted in anger. His eyes turned vicious as he growled, Lin Dong, I know you have many tricks, but if you push me too far, I will make you pay a heavy price. Do you think you're in a position to say that, trapped in the heaven-burning cauldron? Lin Dong sneered, waving his sleeve. The devouring Ancestral Talisman above him howled, transforming into a black vortex that enveloped the formation, unleashing a powerful suction. As the devouring force descended, the demonic flood dragon immediately felt his strength being drained. His expression shifted to one of terror. The Devouring Ancestral Talisman truly lived up to its reputation as the most mysterious among the 8 Ancestral Talismans. It may be troublesome to deal with you directly, but I'm in no hurry. I'll just keep you trapped here, and the Devouring Ancestral Talisman will slowly drain all your power," Lin Dong said with a casual smile, watching the panic spread across the beast's face. "You're ruthless," the demonic flood dragon snarled angrily. "We're all cut from the same cloth. No need for false pleasantries," Lin Dong replied with a mocking smile. He knew that if he had been the one to lose today, his fate would have been far worse. He was no naive youth. "You can stay here quietly for now," Lin Dong said as he prepared to leave the heaven-burning cauldron. "Wait," the demonic flood dragon called out, desperation evident in his voice. If Lin Dong left him here, the Devouring Ancestral Talisman would eventually drain him dry. Without his strength, he would be as good as dead. Lin Dong paused, casting a cold glance back at the demonic flood dragon. "I'll tell you a secret about Xinling Island. In exchange, you let me go. How about that?" The beast gritted his teeth, clearly reluctant, but knowing he had no other choice. "Oh." Lin Dong raised an eyebrow, showing only mild interest. "Your life is in my hands. You're in no position to bargain with me," Lin Dong said coldly. "I am also well-versed in spiritual energy. Once your strength fades, I can simply search your memories with it." "You." The three-headed demonic flood dragon's face turned ashen. Clearly, it hadn't expected Lin Dong to be so uncompromising. "Well, are you going to talk?" Lin Dong glanced at the three-headed demonic flood dragon. Its expression shifted constantly, and after a moment, it finally slumped, defeated. "The greatest treasure on this Xinling Island isn't the vital, profound spirit fruit. It's the earth core spirit essence hidden deep beneath the lake." As it uttered the final words, the demonic flood dragon seemed to use the last of its strength, its face filled with reluctance. Earth core spirit essence? Lin Dong was momentarily stunned upon hearing this name. Then his expression shifted, realizing he had heard of this treasure, which was even rarer than the vital, profound spirit fruit. The earth core spirit essence was incredibly rare, and for those at the life mystique stage, it was nothing short of a divine item. It contained the purest force of vitality in heaven and earth. If absorbed and refined, even those at the great completion or perfect completion of the life mystique stage could gain tremendous benefits. In other words, the earth core spirit essence was something even experts at the perfect completion of the life mystique stage would covet. If the news about Xinling Island had been about the earth core spirit essence instead of the vital, profound spirit fruit, the experts who came here would have been far more powerful, likely not just Wei Song and Su Yun, but true elites at the great completion or even perfect completion of the life mystique stage. Of course, if faced with beings of that caliber, Lin Dong would have no choice but to retreat, unless he himself reached the life mystique stage. Otherwise, it would be too risky to confront them. So, this Xinling Island bears vital, profound spirit fruits because of the earth core spirit essence? Lin Dong asked with interest as he looked at the three-headed demonic flood dragon. "If you knew there was earth core spirit essence here, why didn't you take it?" Lin Dong, ever cautious, wasn't about to let the allure of the earth core spirit essence cloud his judgment. The three-headed demonic flood dragon had been here for years. If there really were such a treasure, why hadn't it taken it? The earth core spirit essence lies deep within Xinling Island, surrounded by earth core magma. "I can't get to it." The demonic flood dragon gritted its teeth. If it had gotten the earth core spirit essence earlier, it would have long since stepped into the great completion of the life mystique stage. By then, Lin Dong and his group would have been at its mercy. Lin Dong stared at the three-headed demonic flood dragon for a moment before he smiled and nodded. "I'll go check it out. If you're lying, you know what will happen." With those words, he ignored the demonic flood dragon's roars of rage. His body turned into a streak of light and shot out of the heaven-burning cauldron. "You bastard!" The three-headed demonic flood dragon cursed furiously as it saw this, but after a long time, it finally calmed down. Sitting cross-legged inside the heaven-scorching formation, it stroked its bald head, and a sinister grin suddenly flashed in its downcast eyes. Boom, boom. Above a crystal-clear lake, Fierce gales surged as two groups clashed violently. The chaotic sounds of battle filled the air. Bang! A surge of primordial energy burst from Wei Song's body as he struck out fiercely. A beam of energy shot through the air, slamming into Gu Yin and forcing her back several steps. Gu Yin, your forces can't beat us, Wei Song sneered. I know you're pinning your hopes on Lin Dong, but do you really think he alone can handle both an immortal talisman master and a minor completion life mystique stage demonic beast? His gaze swept around, lingering on the massive red cauldron hovering in the air, and he laughed coldly. He's been inside for so long. He's probably already been killed by Su Yun and the three-headed demonic flood dragon. I suggest you give up now, before you regret it later. Wei Song laughed loudly, and the members of the Wei clan joined in with mocking laughter. Around the lake, Emojan, Han Tao, and other factions had not left. They clearly wanted to see who would come out on top. From their perspective, it seemed inevitable that Lin Dong would be in dire straits. No matter how many tricks he had, Su Yun and the three-headed demonic flood dragon were too powerful. Lin Dong was, after all, just at the 9th Nirvana stage. Wei Song's words caused Gu Yin and the other members of the Gu clan to look uneasy. If Lin Dong had indeed failed, their mission was a total loss. Not only would they miss out on the vital, profound spirit fruit, but they'd also struggle to escape. Guya bit her lip, her eyes filled with worry as she stared at the massive red cauldron, her hands clenched tightly together. Heh, it looks like you're about to be disappointed. Just then, a familiar voice rang out. Everyone turned to see a streak of light shoot out from the heaven-burning cauldron, transforming into the figure of Lin Dong. The moment he appeared, the atmosphere above the lake froze. The smiles on Wei Song and his group's faces slowly stiffened. Even Emojan and the other onlookers grew solemn. Lin Dong was the one who emerged first. Had he defeated both Su Yun and the three-headed demonic flood dragon? Emojan and the others exchanged glances, each seeing the shock in the other's eyes. The slender young man stood in midair, his hands hanging loosely by his sides, a seemingly gentle smile resting on his face. However, beneath that calm demeanor, everyone around the lake felt an overwhelming sense of pressure, rendering them too afraid to make any move. Huh. Wei Song stared at Lin Dong, who had suddenly appeared. The sneer on his face stiffened awkwardly, and he swallowed nervously, emitting a strange sound as he tried to steady himself. Where is Brother Su? Wei Song's voice was hoarse as he asked. Taken care of, Lin Dong replied casually, glancing at Wei Song before letting out a slight smile. The already quiet atmosphere immediately froze even further upon Lin Dong's words. Many around instinctively drew in a sharp breath. Emojan, Han Tao, and others felt a shiver run through their hearts, relieved that they hadn't let greed cloud their judgment earlier. Who could have guessed that this seemingly harmless fellow was capable of such terrifying means? After all, Su Yun was both an immortal talisman master and a strong practitioner at the minor completion of the life mystique stage. And yet, this guy had managed to eliminate him with just his 9th Nirvana stage strength. Wei Song's eyes revealed a moment of blankness. It took a while before he snapped back to reality, and when he looked at Lin Dong again, there was now a trace of fear in his gaze. The members of the Wei clan behind him also fell silent, their earlier bravado completely extinguished. Of course, it wasn't just them who felt this way. Even Gu Yin and her companions appeared stunned, still struggling to comprehend that Lin Dong had truly managed to defeat an immortal talisman master. Do you even realize who Brother Su is? His master is Elder Evil Bone, a revered figure of Evil Wind Cave Heaven. How dare you kill him? Wei Song shouted after regaining his composure. Elder Evil Bone? Hearing this, Gu Yin and the others exchanged glances, their eyes shifting as they recognized the name. But Lin Dong remained unperturbed. If he dared to wipe out hundreds of elite disciples from the Yuan sect, what was there to fear from some disciple of a patron elder? Could Elder Evil Bone possibly be fiercer than Tian Yuanzi, the head of Yuan sect? Wei Song. Today it was Su Yun who pushed Lin Dong to the brink, attempting to take his life. He was merely defending himself. Even if Elder Evil Bone hears about this, there's nothing much he can say. Such things are commonplace here in the Chaos Demon Sea, Gu Yin said coldly. I don't care about your reasons. When this reaches the ears of Patron Liu, you can explain it to him yourself. Wei Song sneered. Oh, do you want to end up like him too? Lin Dong's smile was bright as he looked at Wei Song. With a flick of his sleeve, a crimson furnace cauldron tilted down from the sky, its mouth emitting a blinding red light. Seeing this, Wei Song and his men turned pale and quickly retreated. You have 10 breaths to leave, or you die. Lin Dong's eyes turned icy, his voice filled with a chilling, killing intent. Wei Song's face alternated between pale and blue. Finally, he clenched his teeth, flung his sleeve angrily, and said, Gu Yin, don't think you've won. Killing Su Yun won't settle things so easily. I'll tell you this, Su Yun's senior brother has already acted against Gu Yuntian. Your Gu clan's martial gathering is destined to end in defeat. What did you say? Gu Yan's expression changed dramatically, her voice sharp. Haha, you'll find out soon enough, Wei Song laughed, casting a wary and spiteful glance at Lin Dong before turning to lead the Wei clan members away. Lin Dong watched Wei Song's retreat with a calm expression, making no further moves. Given the number of people on the island, it was impossible to keep his killing of Su Yun a secret. Eliminating Wei Song and his men now would only stir up more trouble, and with Wei Song's limited capabilities, he posed no threat to him. As the Wei clan withdrew, the other strong individuals around the lake shook their heads in resignation. Seeing Lin Dong's cold and indifferent expression, they exchanged glances and decided to leave as well. None of them had the courage to even think about the 3 vital profound spirit fruits in Lin Dong's possession anymore. Swish, swish. One by one, figures darted away, the sounds of wind breaking the silence as they swiftly departed. Within minutes, even Emojan, the one-armed man, and Han Tao had left the area, unwilling to remain in such a dangerous place. The lake, once bustling with activity, quickly quieted down, leaving behind a desolate and chaotic scene. Lin Dong descended from the sky, and with a simple gesture, the heaven-burning cauldron transformed into a streak of light and returned to his body. He then turned to look at Gu Yin and her companions. When his gaze fell on them, the members of the Gu clan, including Gu Yin, felt a chill in their hearts. Lin Dong's calm eyes now seemed as sharp as blades. Gu Yin sighed inwardly as she watched. Who would have imagined that just over 10 days ago, the man whom Guya had brought back, a man they thought was as good as useless, would reveal such formidable strength? Lin Dong looked at Gu Yin, and with a slight wave of his hand, 2 vital profound spirit fruits appeared. He tossed one to her. This is in exchange for 10,000 profound primordial pills. Gu Yin caught it hurriedly. The rich vitality emanating from the fruit made her usually cold face flush with a hint of pink. She bit her lip and said softly, "Thank you." She understood that 10,000 profound primordial pills were nothing compared to the value of the vital profound spirit fruit. Upon arriving at the Chaos Demon Sea, Lin Dong chuckled. It seems fate has brought us together. His demeanor had softened considerably since before. After all, along the journey, Gu Yin and the others had indeed been of great assistance. As Lin Dong spoke, he suddenly approached Guya, reached out, and patted her head. With a flick of his wrist, another vital, profound spirit fruit appeared, which he then handed to her, drawing envious gazes from the other Gu clan members nearby. Is this for me? Guya's eyes widened as she stared at the emerald green vital, profound spirit fruit, hesitating to take it, her gaze fixed on Lin Dong as she nervously asked, "You little girl, if it weren't for you, I might have ended up as a demonic beast snack. My life is worth much more than a mere vital, profound spirit fruit." Lin Dong chuckled, forcing the fruit into her hands. Only then did Guya, with a bit of delight, accept it. "What are your plans next?" After distributing the 2 vital, profound spirit fruits, Lin Dong turned to Gu Yin and asked, "I plan to use the power of the vital, profound spirit fruit to break through to the life mystique stage here." Gu Yin pondered aloud. In 2 months, the martial gathering of the 5 clans would begin. If she could reach the life mystique stage by then, it would undoubtedly add to the strength of the Gu clan during the event. Lin Dong nodded at her words, and then directed his gaze toward the clear and calm lake. I plan to go to the bottom of the lake next. There could be significant danger below. I won't stop you if you want to come, but I can't guarantee your safety. Although the three-headed demonic flood dragon had been vague about what lay beneath the lake, Lin Dong's cautious nature kept him skeptical about its safety. If the Earth Core's spirit essence there were so easily accessible, the demonic flood dragon would have likely already risked everything to obtain it. Gu Yin was taken aback by Lin Dong's remark. She glanced at the serene lake, and being perceptive, she could sense that he had a purpose for his actions. However, she did not pry further, knowing that they had already benefited significantly from Lin Dong's help. Demanding more would indeed be pushing their luck. All right then, be careful. If time permits, we will keep watch for you outside, Gu Yin said thoughtfully, nodding. Lin Dong smiled, patted Gu Ye's head once more, and then turned toward the lake. Big brother Lin Dong, be careful, Gu Ye called out, waving her small hand as she saw him off. Lin Dong waved back without turning around. His figure then leaped into the icy lake with a splash, and with primordial energy enveloping his body, he swiftly swam toward the lake's depths. From the outside, the lake's surface appeared vast, but as Lin Dong delved deeper, he discovered that its true expanse lay beneath. The surface was merely the tip of the iceberg. Within the lake, as his gaze pierced the depths, the profound darkness below resembled a gaping maw of a demon, evoking a sense of dread. As he ventured further, Lin Dong noticed a peculiar lack of any living creatures within the lake. This struck him as strange, given the dense life energy present here, ordinarily the ideal environment for living beings. Yet, curiously, not even a single fish could be found. His spiritual perception reached out, only to be met with an eerie stillness. The bizarre sight heightened Lin Dong's vigilance. Primordial energy coursed through his body like a river, filling him with a powerful force, ready to respond to any sudden danger. Swish! The soft sound of his body cutting through the water echoed in the silent lake as Lin Dong's gaze swept across the dark lake bed. He noticed the water temperature rising significantly. This lake is indeed peculiar, he thought, descending further. After around 10 minutes, crimson lights began to emerge from the abyss, while the surrounding water grew increasingly scalding. Gurgle. As Lin Dong continued his descent, the crimson area expanded, and soon, he saw that the red hue came from an expanse of magma stretching to the horizon. The fiery magma spread across the lake bed like a burning carpet, bubbling and heating the frigid lake water to a boil. Lin Dong stared at this extraordinary sight in a daze, clicking his tongue in amazement. It was indeed his first time witnessing the strange coexistence of fire and water. The three-headed demonic flood dragon mentioned Earth Core spirit essence at the lake bottom, yet I can't sense any such aura here. Quickly regaining his composure, Lin Dong's gaze swept across the surroundings, and his spiritual energy spread out rapidly. Could that guy have been lying? Lin Dong furrowed his brow, then shook his head. While the words of the three-headed demonic flood dragon couldn't be fully trusted, there was likely some truth to them. Besides, even that creature should realize that false information would be too easily exposed. If that happened, Lin Dong's methods would ensure that the dragon would face dire consequences. Could it be down there, beneath the magma? Lin Dong's gaze shifted, suddenly locking onto the bubbling, churning magma below. After a moment of hesitation, he waved his hand, and the heaven-burning cauldron appeared with a roar. Without wasting time, he entered the cauldron, controlling it to transform into a streak of light as it dove directly into the searing magma below. Swoosh! The heaven-burning cauldron easily penetrated the magma without any resistance. Seeing this, Lin Dong let out a sigh of relief. His guess had been correct. Inside the cauldron, Lin Dong extended his spiritual energy outward, surveying the scene beneath the magma. When the feedback from his spiritual scan returned, even he couldn't help but be momentarily stunned. Beyond the magma was a vast, open square, devoid of any magma or water. The ground was neatly paved with reddish stones, exuding a sense of ancient simplicity. Lin Dong emerged from the heaven-burning cauldron, looking around at the square hidden beneath the magma lake. For a moment, he was at a loss. This square was clearly man-made, but who could have hidden such a place so carefully beneath the magma? As Lin Dong pondered, he suddenly sensed an overwhelming surge of vitality emanating from the distance. His heart skipped a beat, and his figure flashed forward. After a few minutes, he arrived at the center of the square, where he saw a stone pool about 10 meters wide. Inside the pool, fiery red magma churned, and at its center, faint green light points continuously rose to the surface. As these green lights appeared, they gathered about a foot above the magma, forming a small mass of emerald green liquid, no larger than a palm. From this liquid, an indescribably rich life force radiated out, making the surrounding space seem to burst with vitality. Earth Core Spirit Essence. Lin Dong's eyes blazed with excitement as he gazed at the emerald green liquid rising from the magma. The Earth was always capable of producing miraculous treasures, like the Earth Core Spirit Nectar he had encountered before. Now, this Earth Core Spirit Essence was another rare gem that could greatly benefit his cultivation. He licked his lips but remained cautious. His rational side overpowered the temptation. If there truly was Earth Core Spirit Essence here, it wouldn't be so easily obtained. Otherwise, why would the powerful three-headed demonic flood dragon leave such a treasure behind? Lin Dong's gaze swept carefully around the stone pool, scrutinizing every inch. After a long while, his eyes narrowed. He had spotted faint red lines etched into the crimson ground, stretching outward. These red lines were subtle and easily overlooked due to the red hue of the ground. If not for his meticulous inspection, they would have been impossible to detect. A formation. Lin Dong's eyes traced the red lines that spread out, connecting to form a large formation that enveloped the entire stone pool. Although he couldn't sense any immediate danger from the formation, Lin Dong knew all too well that the deadliest traps were often the silent ones. Rubbing his chin in thought, Lin Dong pondered for a moment before suddenly flicking his sleeve. A black figure appeared before him. It was a demon corpse he had obtained earlier from the alien demon region. Go! With a flick of his finger, the demon corpse shot forward like lightning, heading straight for the stone pool. It reached out to grab the Earth Core Spirit Essence. Buzz! Just as the demon corpse was about to touch the pool, Lin Dong's eyes widened. The red line surrounding the stone pool lit up instantly, forming a massive array on the ground. A crimson beam of light shot forth, tearing through the space and striking the demon corpse with brutal force. Boom! At the moment of impact, the demon corpse trembled violently. Lin Dong inhaled sharply as he watched the seemingly indestructible corpse begin to disintegrate at an alarming rate. A muffled grunt escaped Lin Dong's throat. The demon corpse contained a trace of his essence spirit, which was now being destroyed along with it. What a terrifying formation, Lin Dong muttered grimly. The demon corpse's physical body was immensely strong, capable of withstanding even a full-force blow from a minor completion life mystique stage expert. Yet, under that single red beam of light, it had been reduced to ashes in seconds. The destructive power of that light was beyond comprehension. That creature didn't tell the whole truth after all. Lin Dong sneered. He had suspected all along that the three-headed demonic flood dragon's words couldn't be trusted. If he had recklessly gone after the Earth Core Spirit Essence, he might have been the one turned to ashes. His death would have freed the dragon from the heaven-burning cauldron's restraint. Lin Dong's eyes narrowed as he stared at the stone pool. After a while, he suddenly smirked. With a wave of his sleeve, the heaven-burning cauldron shot toward the pool. If you're so keen on lying, why don't you try it out yourself? A figure shot out from the heaven-burning cauldron in a disheveled state. The bald man's face lit up with joy the moment he realized he had escaped its grasp. However, before his joy could fully manifest, he spotted Lin Dong standing not far away, wearing a calm smile. Seeing Lin Dong's smile made the three-headed demonic flood dragon uneasy. His gaze quickly shifted, and the sight of the familiar magma stone pool entered his view. Instantly, his pupils contracted as deep fear and horror surged across his face. You bastard! A furious curse escaped the three-headed demonic flood dragon's mouth, and a surge of overwhelming energy erupted from his body. Without hesitation, he attempted to flee. Clearly, the three-headed demonic flood dragon was not unfamiliar with this place. Judging by his reaction, he knew very well how dangerous the magma stone pool was. Perhaps he had even suffered at its hands before. Lin Dong watched the quick reaction of the three-headed demonic flood dragon and smiled faintly. However, he then noticed the red glow around the magma stone pool flicker once more. A massive formation swiftly took shape. Buzz. The light coalesced without pause, and a crimson beam silently shot out again. Although Lin Dong couldn't sense any energy fluctuations from it, he knew that it possessed true destructive power. Swish. The crimson beam moved with incredible speed. Just as the three-headed demonic flood dragon began to retreat, the beam struck him fiercely, leaving him stunned. Pfft. Despite its small size, the crimson beam hit the three-headed demonic flood dragon like a sledgehammer. Blood spurted from his mouth, and his arm trembled uncontrollably. Tiny red spots began to spread rapidly across his arm, and wherever they touched, his arm disintegrated into ashes. Damn it! The three-headed demonic flood dragon's face twisted with horror as he saw the red spots spreading up his arm. Gritting his teeth, he formed a blade with his hand and severed his arm at the base. Blood sprayed as the severed arm fell. Hiss! Before the arm even touched the magma stone pool below, it was burned to ashes by the crimson spots, disappearing without a trace. Outside the magma stone pool, Lin Dong's eyes narrowed at the sight. The formation's lethality was terrifyingly strong. Buzz. As Lin Dong's thoughts raced, the formation lit up again, sending another crimson beam hurtling towards the three-headed demonic flood dragon. Lin Dong, you wretched scum. I'll tear you to pieces. The three-headed demonic flood dragon roared in fury and panic, seeing the crimson beam approaching again. He hadn't expected Lin Dong to be so cunning, not only avoiding his trap but ruthlessly using him as a test subject for the formation. Pfft. More blood spurted from the three-headed demonic flood dragon's mouth as violent energy surged from his body. The energy fused with his blood, forming a large scarlet scale in front of him, emitting a solid, protective glow. Desperate to survive, the three-headed demonic flood dragon was pulling out all the stops. Whoosh! Just as the crimson beam reached him, it smashed into the scarlet scale. The defensive shield, painstakingly created, began to crack before shattering with a loud explosion. The three-headed demonic flood dragon staggered backward in disarray, but his defense had barely managed to block the attack. Though he had stopped this strike, fear overtook him. Lin Dong quickly understood why. The formation's glow intensified, and three crimson beams shot out simultaneously. The formation's power grew stronger with every blocked attack, signaling that anyone trapped inside would face an endless barrage until they were utterly destroyed. Swish! Swish! The three beams closed in, forcing the three-headed demonic flood dragon to spit out more blood. He summoned 3 more scarlet scales to defend himself. The scales shattered again, but this time, 5 crimson beams surged forth, rising in the despairing eyes of the three-headed demonic flood dragon. The attacks seemed to be relentless, like an endless cycle of destruction. Lin Dong watched with a heavy and indifferent gaze as the three-headed demonic flood dragon grew weaker and more battered. Meanwhile, Lin Dong's body was already surging with primordial energy. During the time the demonic flood dragon had been under attack, Lin Dong had carefully observed the formation and noticed a brief window where its power waned, though it was fleeting. That might be his only chance to break through. Lin Dong's eyes locked onto the formation, his body leaning forward slightly, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The opportunity didn't take long to present itself. After another round of crimson beams, Lin Dong's eyes gleamed sharply. Whoosh! The azure dragon wings unfolded from his back as Lin Dong's figure transformed into a streak of green light, shooting into the magma formation like lightning. His hand clenched, and a powerful suction force erupted, yanking the earth core spirit essence out of the formation. Swish! The emerald green earth core spirit essence soared into Lin Dong's hand. Without a moment's hesitation, he flapped his wings and turned to flee. Lin Dong's expression grew solemn as he watched the incoming streaks of light. With a thought, the heaven-burning cauldron swiftly flew towards him, crashing directly into the two beams. Clang, clang. A crisp sound echoed through the plaza. The light on the heaven-burning cauldron dimmed almost instantly, but it managed to block the two beams by force. Tap. Without pausing, Lin Dong tapped his foot on the cauldron and swiftly shot towards the edge of the magma stone pool. Just as he was about to escape the formation's attack range, a sinister laugh suddenly rang out. Trying to leave, kid? It won't be that easy. Since you're so ruthless, you'll all die here. Covered in blood and missing one arm and one leg, the three-headed demonic flood dragon appeared in front of Lin Dong. Its face twisted with malice, and its body began to swell rapidly. Self-detonation? Lin Dong's pupils shrank in response. Boom. Before he could finish his thought, the demonic flood dragon's body exploded violently. Blood sprayed in all directions, and a terrifying energy sent Lin Dong flying back, blood spurting from his mouth, as he was hurled into the center of the magma stone pool. Buzz. Wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth, Lin Dong's face turned grim. When he lifted his gaze, he saw dozens of scarlet beams of light erupting around the magma. The sheer number of beams completely enveloped him from all directions. Not good. Seeing this overwhelming number of beams, even Lin Dong's normally steady demeanor wavered, and his face paled slightly. His eyes flickered with desperation until they suddenly focused on the magma stone pool below. I have no choice. With a determined look, Lin Dong bit his lip hard, and instead of fleeing, he stopped running. Just as the scarlet beams of light were about to strike him, he dove headfirst into the magma stone pool with a splash. Hiss. The moment he entered the pool, the scarlet beams inexplicably froze in midair and then dissipated as if they had never existed. However, Lin Dong didn't witness this. As soon as he dove into the pool, he felt his body sink. Contrary to his expectations of searing heat, there was none. He blinked his eyes in confusion, and then he saw it. A world hidden beneath the magma stone pool, isolated from the outside. What is this?